want to move into kind of a general question. Why is having a vision important?
I kind of just said all that. Gosh, now let me think here. Let me think how much more I can.
I asked that question because there was something that we had talked about previously that you haven't mentioned.
There's a Bible verse behind this, and we had to look up because I'm terrible. I'm terrible at quoting scripture. I rarely do it, not because the Bible is the number one book, but I'm just terrible at quoting scripture. I always have, mainly because I'm terrible at memorization. But I know this. I don't even have to look down at my phone. Without a vision, man perishes. And I'm paraphrasing that. There's
Sure.
more to that scripture. What was that scripture? We had looked it up.
It's Proverbs 29:18.
Thank you. I lost my place. There it is. 29:18. Where there is no vision, the people perish, to be specific. But that it's funny because that has been preached to me for years, but I had to actually look it up to see what verse it was. But there's so much truth in that. Without vision, it can be even more simplified. Without a plan, you fail. Mm-hmm. If you have a plan, you're already on the road to success.
Yeah.
It's just having a plan that you're executing. Without a vision, without a plan, you can't be successful.
There's someone I heard. This is a very common saying, but it was if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
That is always stuck in my head.
Yes.
And it's made me.
And that's probably rooted in this scripture.
Probably, I would
Almost
imagine.
Certainly. I would be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, again, I wanted to bring that up specifically because I wanted to stress the importance of you and I's time spent looking at the vision, our team members' time looking at the vision, and seeing how we can seize the opportunity that is presented before us to work on adding value to other people and adding value to ourselves. We're offering quarterly book readings. We're offering a lot of daily emails that are being sent out at places and times for you to challenge yourself in growing. We want to provide that opportunity, and we want our team members to take it seriously because we believe it's important.
Extremely. I mean, again, and I'll answer it another way. Without a vision, and when you're not working, and when you're just working and you don't have that, you're really just going through motions. Mm-hmm. And that's my biggest fear, if for me, is if I end up doing that without the vision, I'll end up looking back. And they say don't have regrets, but if you go through your life, if you go through your weeks, your months, your days, the time you have, and you don't have that, you are just going through the motions.
Yeah.
You're not
actively pursuing.
I don't believe you're living your best self.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing, you need to be. You need to be thinking about the future. I'm not somebody. I don't believe as much as I am. I believe in. I just made my wife look this up. I made her look up what the definition of, and I'm going to probably pronounce it terribly wrong just because I don't know how to pronounce things well, but laissez-faire. So we looked that up, and basically the concept of laissez-faire is just let it be.
Right.
And I operate my personal life very much so like that in a lot of ways. And in the sense that Jennifer and I, we run a very informal household, if you will. More even than I'd like. I'd like a little more tidiness than she does. But she's a person who jokes. She thrives in chaos. And so we live we're very laissez-faire about a lot of things. And that's good because you want to have that sense of you don't want to only live in the future. I'm sometimes bad about that as we talked. You don't want to only live in the future. You want to live in the now, live in the moment.
Be present.
But you can't only live in the now and live in the moment.
Yeah.
If you do that, then your future is not probably very bright. That's my opinion. If you only live in the moment, if you live that laissez-faire, just let it be, in every aspect, you probably don't have a bright future. But at the same time, there is an element you do need to. It's about balance.
Yes.
You got to live in the moment, but you've also got to be focused and think about the long term. And of course, that's where legacy comes in.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, let's move on into the next question. What kind of legacy do you want Chorbie and Scoop Soldiers to leave?
Influence. And I'll say it this way too. But in a single word, and I didn't have that written down, but influence. The legacy of Chorbie is influence in the skilled trades industry. through franchising, as we were just talking about earlier, through franchising, but not just through franchising, also just becoming a beacon for knowledge and the proper mindsets, the proper way to do business for this industry. The skilled trades industries as a whole. When I say skilled trades, I'm talking about everything from the plumbing industry and the HVAC industry, all the way to anything and everything inside the lawn and landscape industry, anything and everything in the pest business, the pest and termite world. Anything really where you're driving to somebody's home and providing a service is what I articulate as a skilled trade. Another you could call it is field services. Sure. But I want to be we want to be influence in all of that. And in the pet waste industry with Scoop Soldiers, there's ample opportunity. That industry is still very much so in its infancy.
Yeah.
I mean, that industry, as much as on one hand you could look at it and you could be like, man, I don't want to scoop poop, and that where would that where's the opportunity there? I think there's as much opportunity there as there is anywhere else. And you can do a simple test. Any of our team members could do this simple test. Line 10 people up or go on social media and ask 10 people, have you ever heard of the pet waste industry? Whether they're dog owners or not, and you hear me preach this all the time, but whether they're dog owners or not, 6 out of 10 have never even heard of the industry unless they happen to know, I know somebody that started or that gets that service, but that's rare. 6 out of 10 of any random 10 people that you talk to in the United States don't even know that the pet waste removal is a thing they can pay for at their house.
Right.
And so if I'm 21 years old and I've just gotten a job and gotten introduced to the pet waste industry, and I do that test and realize, do you realize how much opportunity is there? Imagine how fast and what that industry, or how big that industry, the whole industry, not the company, but the industry itself, imagine how much bigger it could be if 8 or 9 out of 10 of all Americans knew, like they do, every American knows, whether you live in an apartment in inner city New York, or whether you live in the suburbs, or whether you live on a farm in Kansas, you know that you can, somebody will mow your yard.
Right.
You can get someone to mow your yard. Imagine if the same number or the same demographics knew that that was the case for a pet waste business.
Yeah.
Imagine what that would do for this industry. But if I'm 21 years old and I'm entering that industry and I'm looking at that saying, oh my goodness, the rest of my life could be devoted, whether it's devoted to preaching and recruiting for the industry, to go out and preach and say, hey, there's to get talent into the industry, to get more people interested in the industry by working in the industry. But then there's also, imagine what you can do from a marketing standpoint. You could literally start a marketing business in pet waste business.
Just for that.
Low-hanging fruit. I mean, there is so much So for us in Scoop Soldiers moving forward, we want to be a major part of not just franchising. A lot of companies have franchised their pet waste businesses. There's not necessarily something new there. We want to be obviously focused on our corporate operations and our corporate expansion, but we want to grow in professionalizing this industry. What do I mean by professionalizing? It's very fragmented. We do almost 10,000 scoops a week. Other than our other franchise competitors, I don't know that there's companies much bigger than 1,000 or 2,000 scoops a week, and almost the entire industry is a couple hundred scoops a week. Imagine what that could do, what we could do as far as professionalizing the industry and teaching our business practices and the things that have made us successful in that industry.
Yeah. Well, this is a great start to doing that.
Yeah.
Simply talking
Absolutely.
about it.
Absolutely.
Which is exciting to know that we're starting it right now.
Yes.
It's pretty awesome.
Yes, we're executing. We are
That's
executing,
right.
and that is key.
I usually like to say less talking, more doing, but we're doing more by talking.
In this sense, yes.
In this sense, yeah.
Yes.
So with this in mind, of understanding the vision, understanding the importance of being an organization of influence, how does this inform our organization's internal culture and or external branding, and are they even tied together?
No, they're very much so, and I jumped ahead of myself earlier and talked about this,
Sure.
but we want our people and our people need to be empowered. I don't believe we can be successful in 2021 and beyond by doing things in the mindset of 1999. Where, again, going back, where you've got this job and it's just a job nonsense. We've got to have purpose, and we've got to figure out and continue to work towards empowering our people. And I believe empowering our people can be done in a lot of ways. Providing them the tools they need, making sure they have everything they need to be able to do a good job in their daily work. But we also need to empower them by educating them and teaching them what I believe are key success mindsets. Mindset matters so much. I go back. I didn't always have the best mindsets. To this day, I don't always have the best mindsets. Sometimes I gotta speak to myself. Self-talk.
Sure.
We all have self-talk. But empowering our team members and giving them a sense of ownership in their roles and what they do, I think goes a long way in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as a leadership team, both at Chorbie and Scoop Shoulders, we have to be on the same front and reaffirming the purpose of empowering, the reality of empowering, so making things aware of educational aspects of things and resources available. And I believe as all of us, our leadership team, continues to provide that for our team members, we're only digging deeper into executing our vision of having influence.
You know, it's funny I talk about education so much because I was the type that wanted nothing to do with formal education and kind of almost shrugged it off. And even to this day, I don't for one bit regret not going to college. And you know that, you and I have had those conversations. I don't regret it one single bit. But at the same time, it's like this double-edged sword where it's like I was always I hate reading. I hate that all the things you need that I preach, where you have to self-educate, you need to read books about whether it's leadership, whether it's interacting with people and relationships and everything else. I was told I needed to read, and so I did it because I was desperate to be successful. But the concept of reading and the concept of education is definitely not my forte, naturally. I've spent 15 plus years self-educating, trying to do what I was told I needed to do to be successful. You need to read, you need to find the right materials, you need to hang out, you need to find the power of association matters a lot. And it worked. It works. And so I'm a big proponent of it because I've personally experienced it a lot. I've personally experienced it, and I can remember very clearly being 16 years old and not having a lot of those same mindsets and thought processes.
Well, there's, like you alluded to, there's many different ways to educate yourself, and we have the benefit of YouTube, we have the benefit of podcasts, so many different things.
You've talked about this recently. In fact, it sounds to me like you listen to a lot more podcasts than I do, for sure. A recent email here you sent out that you talked about some of what you do, and you listen to some music, but you listen to more podcasting than ever. I would say for me it's the opposite. I listen to more music than I do podcasts, even though it should be the flip side.
My wife makes fun of me for how many podcasts I listen to.
It's a good thing, though. By and large, it's a good thing, as long as you're listening to the right stuff. And again, I think a lot of it can be mixed up. There's a lot, huge plethora of different things. But as long as you're getting some entertainment, but you're also getting but in my opinion, for instance, and this is not a dog, I'm probably about to make some enemies here. If you're only watching podcasts about what the Cowboys did last weekend, that's probably not going to get you to your vision unless you plan on being a sports broadcaster or something.
Right.
And again, I'm probably not making any friends
there's
by
balance.
saying that, but there's balance. You've got to find the fun stuff, the things that intrigue you. Me personally, the fun stuff for me is I love reading. I love watching podcasts and stuff. Some of the conspiracy stuff I love watching. It fascinates me. Aliens, like watching podcasts on aliens, fascinates me.
I'm telling everyone right now, at some point in the future, we're going to have a podcast dedicated strictly to aliens because I'm super excited to talk about
That'll be an interesting one. That'll be an interesting one. I know nothing. I mean, what can we know? We don't know. But no, those kind of watching podcasts on boats and cars, I like those too.
Yeah.
But anyways, the good stuff is the stuff, and the things that I've noticed for me personally, as far as a personal education and self-growth, have been, mindset stuff, leadership stuff. And I'll say this, and I've said this before, as far as our team, our technicians and the guys that are in the trucks daily, literally, I think I read this one time, I don't know the exact, but it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert. Is that right?
Yep.
If you do the math, if you're driving and 50% of your job is driving or 25% of your job is driving, you can literally, in a matter of years, if you do what you do, if you do more podcasts and you do more educational type learning through your Bluetooth on your truck,
right.
Most of our vehicles, almost all of them have Bluetooth, through YouTube, coming out of the speakers in your work vehicle as you're driving in between jobs, you could literally have the equivalent of a college education in a matter of 3 to 5 years if you chose a specific area of focus. If I woke up tomorrow and I became a pool technician and I was 21 years old, and I'm using a pool technician because we don't have any pool technicians, I wanted to use that as an example. Yet. It's coming soon. But I'd find something, an educational thing, and I'd make sure to spend an hour or 3 hours a day, somewhere between 1 and 3 hours a day, just while I'm driving, while I'm already gonna be driving.
Right.
3 to 5 years, you got a college education.
Everyone has the same amount of hours in the day.
But especially with our skilled techs, that are in the trucks.
Yeah.
There is so much value to just, again, I love listening to the radio. You know what I also used to do, because I had a lot of jobs in the past where I did a lot of driving. I loved talk radio. Not the most productive use of my time, whether it was sports talk radio or political talk radio. Entertaining, but that's not going to get me my college degree.
Right.
What's going to get me my college degree is books from business management gurus like Simon Sinek, or books on leadership like John Maxwell. Those are the kinds of things that get you thinking right, and that get you that mindset.
Yeah. Well, like I said, everyone has the same amount of hours a day. Different roles have different allocations of time, but it's about your proactive proactive pursuit to make it happen.
Yep.
And you can make it happen. Everyone can make it happen. All right, well, let's shift our mindset here and begin to talk more practically about the future, so not necessarily the vision, but the future of Chorbie and Scoop Soldiers. What does that look like?
Well, a lot about franchising.
Yeah, let's dive
we
into
are
that.
in the midst, as we're talking now, we are on the midst of really completely transforming our organization as a whole, our management, and all the way down into a franchise organization. Of course, Scoop Soldiers is on the front lines of that. As we're out, we're getting multiple leads a week, sometimes multiple leads a day for our franchise opportunities. It is literally a matter of weeks and months before I believe they really start. We have the momentum where we'll really start converting and selling new franchise opportunities in new areas. And so we're putting a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of energy into transforming our organization. Scoop Soldiers, I'm talking about here first, into a franchise organization. Now, Scoop Soldiers' focus and growth here in the coming years is still corporate expansion as well. We still have plans to continue to develop the East Coast corporately. Going on to Chorbie. Chorbie hasn't started franchising yet, but we have pulled the trigger and we've started the process of franchising Chorbie Lawn Care, specifically that service. And so within the year, we should be able to be offering those franchises, and shortly thereafter, we should be able to be offering pest and termite franchise opportunities. But in doing this, what we're literally doing is we are expanding in a lot of different ways. We're expanding our geographic area by doing this. We're bringing in more people at the ownership level, whether they're hopefully they're going to be some of our technicians and our team and our existing team. Hopefully we're going to bring in more talent from the outside, but this is more opportunity for us because we get that talent, that ownership, and so on and so forth, those resources. It also allows us to expand. But moving into the franchise industry is literally, in a lot of ways, we're staying in the same industry we're in. We're at Chorbie. Most of our business is still inside of the lawn and landscaping industry. But with franchising, it's literally like pouring gasoline on our ability to expand. It'll allow us to expand both our service offerings. We are now no longer at Chorbie as a whole. We are now no longer only selling lawn care services and maintenance and mowing services and pest services. Yeah, we're selling all of those, but we're also opening an entire new business opportunity, business service offering, and that service offering is a business opportunity. Chorbie's going to go out and we're going to sell a business opportunity in lawn care, and we want to sell that across this country. We want to then turn around and sell pest and termite opportunities across this country.
Yeah.
And that, you can imagine how that's going to turn around. And of course, that success begets success, where we can extend those and expand those franchises. But that also, what does that do? Well, we're getting more pest clients. We're getting more lawn care clients. We're getting them in territory that we've never had before, that we've never been able to offer before because of our geographic limitations. And so we're literally in 2021, late 2021, we're establishing that foundation at Chorbie. Scoop Soldiers is a little farther ahead in establishing that foundation, but both companies are in a lot of ways in that same infancy as we're breaking into the franchise industry.
Yeah.
And the franchise industry brings opportunity like nothing else can. Nothing else can, because it allows, imagine, instead of, okay, I could say, well, we're just going to grow corporately. We're going to keep expanding, just as we've done with Scoop Soldiers. We've expanded into 7 states and 13 territories since 2014. We're going to do that for Chorbie as well. We could technically do that. We could go and get a bunch of resources. Franchising by no means is the cheaper way to do it. It's very expensive. But we could do it that way. But at the same time, all that's going to give me is more managers, which is great, and more talent, and bring in more talent through management. But again, I was brainwashed from an early age through various organizations that you want business owner mentality. And if I could get every single team member, every single person that's on my team to think like a business owner, the success is exponential. And so that's what franchising, I think, will allow us to do.
Yeah.